Many times in the past, we've talked about France and how they neo-colonized 14 West African nations, even in 2019. Now, these 14 West African nations, they call them Francophone. And part of their colonial tax that they still paying to France is they have to send their money to France at a rate of 85% of their money to put in France's bank. And then if they want to get their money, they have to get a loan on their own money with interest from France, because France says, well, that is just to help with the things that we're doing. It's just a colonial tax. And if the leaders did not want to do that in the past, they'll either have them killed or they'll pay some bootlicking, shucking and jiving Negro to enact a coup. That's what they would do. France was responsible for the majority of the coups in the continent of Africa. The president of Benin had recently came out a few weeks ago and he said enough is enough. And he wants his money back from his country out of their bank. So there's a lot of anti-French sentiment that's on the continent right now, and rightfully so. Why would you have love for your oppressor? Then you have Macron running around these African nations, wagging his little finger, telling them what they should be doing in their nations, always in and out of African nations, when he needs to worry about what's going on in his nation with all those protests that's going on, those yellow vest protests. He needs to be worrying about that and trying to make sure his people is okay. But understand, without those African nations, France would be a third world country. Understand that. They would be. So they definitely don't want to be out of those West African nations. But what happened is 13 troops were killed in Mali last week. And Macron is very upset, so much so that he is, listen to the wording they said, summoning these West African nations to come to France to talk with him to give an account for these 13 troops being dead. First of all, who are you to tell anybody you come over here to France and you talk to me about? No, if you need to talk to them, you need to go holler at them at their country. Each individual country you need to go see them about if you want to talk with them at all. Who are you to be ordering somebody to go anywhere? Man, he wouldn't order me to go nowhere. Not me. Like, who do you think he is? But he run around here with this colonizer mentality. Then he suggested that he can pull his troops out. Pull them out. Get your French troops out of there. Nobody want them there. They're tired of you. My brothers and sisters want to figure out their own situation. They can defend themselves. They want to have their life. Let them have it. Get out. They don't want you there. That's why they have this strong anti-French sentiment. It's not because you do anything good for them. If you were doing things good for them, they wouldn't have that issue with you. They would be welcoming you to come in. But you have been a colonizer for hundreds upon hundreds of years. And they're sick of you. See, what's happening on the continent right now, ladies and gentlemen, they're waking up too. It is a major global shift that's happening with the global family. You're seeing more and more people going to the continent from the Caribbean, from America, from, Latin nations who are connected through the diaspora. You're starting to see people on the continent wake up. At one point in time, this would not even be an issue, that they're having this strong anti-French sentiment, and rightfully so. You got people like Paul Biya in Cameroon, who is all up Macron's butt. Paul Biya can barely walk, poor thing. He won't give up power. The young people ready to take over, ready to make sure that Cameroon is a great place to stay instead of them having to leave. Do you understand Macron and all his oppressive policies that he put on these West African nations caused a immigration crisis out of those West African nations to Europe? That's why the last time the prime minister of Italy was telling Macron, you're responsible for all these people flooding my country because you won't get out of theirs and let them alone and let them keep their money. These people like France and the UK and the rest of them, they even want to hold on to their history. They don't want to give them their history back. their artifacts. They come out of their nations. They want to fight and hold on to what they stole from these West African nations. And you know why? Because who want to go and see their history? Who cares? That's how I feel about it. Who cares about French history? I don't. Now, Macron came out and says he can't, nor do he want French troops on the ground while there's anti-French sentiment that is sometimes held by the leaders of some of the African nations. He said at NATO. So he said he wanted to talk to the leaders of Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad should come to France on the 16th of December to provide clarifications. Okay? So they said on November 26th, when two helicopters were traveling, collided at nightfall. Just when they were swooping in to support troops of battling Islamist militants. It was one of the worst losses of life in France military in more than 3 decades. Okay? So they said they're there to fight extremists, but talking to people on the ground, you're not there fighting extremists. You're doing all kind of dirt out there. You're raping. Yes, you're raping. You're pillaging. You're doing all kind of things in France. You're making sure that they stay oppressed. Maybe the people fighting you are sick of you in their country. Ever thought about that? So what I say to my brothers and sisters, you keep on letting Macron know, get out, go back to your country. We love our country. We're going to stand up for our continent. Get out. Take your troops. Get out. We don't want you here anymore. And the leaders, you need to say the same thing. We don't want you here anymore. We need our money back. We need our artifacts back. We need everything back. Give it back. Go to France and have a good day. Go do whatever you're going to do, but leave us alone. That's what the leaders have to say. You got to have the testicular fortitude in one message to tell him that. You can't divide. You can't be ducking your head. You know how sometimes when black folks scary, whether you here or you over there, when you have to confront them folks, scared to confront them, square your shoulders back and tell him, get out, take your troops out, get all your stuff out. We don't want you here no more. Matter of fact, we are going to switch our national language. You're not speaking French no more. We're not doing it. We got the new currency, the echo coming. We all switching to the echo. We're not going to be dealing with this currency, the CFA. We're not doing it because you don't even use the CFA in France. So why in the world should we be using it? You brothers and sisters on the continent, take your country back for real. Get independent for real. We got a new decade coming. The next decade needs to be freedom for the family worldwide, no matter where we at, the African continent, America, etc. And we have to take a stand as a people. West Africa, that is your nation's. That's not his. It's yours. Don't have your leaders cowering down to this little pencil neck Macron. Forget that. And if you got a leader that's doing that, get him out and replace him with somebody that's going to have a nationalist mindset for your community, for your country, loving your country, that's going to be patriotic for your country and look out for the best interests of not only your country, but also the neighbors in West Africa. That's how you have to do that. Because it's time for France to go. But leave me a comment, let me know what you think about the situation out of West Africa and Macron. But the time is up. The time has to be up. West Africa needs to stand on their own 2 feet, take their countries back, get the French military out, and go find something else better to do. Because you know good and well, the moment they kick you out, France, and they cut you off from the resources that's coming out of West Africa, I love to see you stand on your own 2 feet and put yourself up by your own bootstraps. We already know where that's going to go.